Hello and welcome to a new episode of You Died. It sounds really weird when I can't hear Jared putting the special effects on, right? That just sounds a little odd.
We just have to take it, like, in good faith that he's going to do it for you.
And that I sound
weird
awesome.
all the time, though. If I'm
I
being
think he
honest.
shouldn't do it for you.
Oh, what? That's not fair. Anyway, I'm Ravi.
I'm Victoria.
Shea.
Shea. We have another new episode for you today. Firstly, before we get into what we're going to talk about, what have you guys been playing? Shea?
I didn't realize we were doing this. I've been playing Forza
You've been
Horizon.
playing games though,
Yeah,
right?
I've been playing a lot of games. I played Gears of War 4, which is free on Game Pass again, continuing the discussion from last week. It's okay. Yeah, there's not a lot to discuss beyond that. It's just okay. It's like 8 hours of 7 out of 10 gameplay that you get tired of.
It is fun. I do like Forza Horizon. I do think it's a fun game. I like that sort of play better than like proper Forza. A little more casual, a little more loose.
I said Gears of War 4.
Oh, God damn it. I still have Forza brain after I was talking about it earlier.
Yeah, I was going to segue into Forza afterwards.
Cool. So, Gears of War 4, not as casual, as a little more casual than Forza, right?
Yeah, no, Gears of War 4 is fine. So once in a while in your life, you need these little single-player shooting things to just kill a day or two. It did that. I was super into it at the start because I felt, oh man, such great combat design. They designed this arena really nicely. So many waist-high walls I can duck behind. But towards the end, it just got a bit. It's bullet spongy, but it gets a bit too bullet spongy by the end. What the big dudes would jump out like pouncers and stuff, and you're going to spend the next 5 minutes just shooting into them with no feedback whatsoever, and that kind of gets tedious.
Vic, have you played any of the Gears of Wars?
Nope, not my thing. First-person shooters are not my thing.
It's third person.
You just said first person.
It's third person.
Not
it's-
my thing, anyway.
It's famous for being third person, so clearly not your thing.
Not my thing.
No.
And don't even look at it, actually.
I tried with the first Gears of War, but I had two problems with it. One is the bullet sponginess. I think it's a little too bullet spongy
What
for
is
me.
bullet sponginess?
You know how in some games you shoot someone in the head, one bullet, and they just die, they stay down?
Yeah.
That's it, they're gone. But Gears of War, you have to shoot a dude like, 40 times so before he goes down, and so that's why your weapons have like 800 ammo, and each clip has like 70 bullets.
Awesome.
So it feels okay, so you kind of just have to keep, that's the way it's designed, right? But towards the end, it just gets a bit tedious. You having to just point and hold the trigger down for like 5 solid seconds before you feel any sort of feedback, because they don't actually react to one bullet or anything.
Oh.
Unless it's shotgun, maybe they might. But
Is it okay? And there's no like reward for getting a headshot, is there?
not particularly. I don't think so.
I haven't played since the first Gears of War,
Yeah,
man.
you know
Don't
what? I just spent 8 hours in Gears 4. I felt I'm gonna say no, like there's no feedback whatsoever. So it's okay at the start, but after a while it gets tedious.
So my problem is the bullet sponginess. I didn't really get into that. The other problem I had with it was, so I played it with a bunch of friends back in the day, and but I was away for the first like 2 weeks. They were all playing it online, and when I joined them online, there was one guy who was so good he would just mercilessly slaughter all of us. And it's quite a small multiplayer game. It's only like 4-on-4, or at least the first one was. And he would just like he just did not care that the rest of us were new and weren't really sure what we're doing and feeling it out. He just like
That's like playing any game with you. The last time we
damn.
played Mario Kart and you were like not very friendly,
what?
given that I hadn't played it. But
I mean, it's Mario Kart. It's a casual, friendly game.
It was not friendly and not very casual.
The house he's in is so glassy, and yet these stones are coming towards me.
I know. But the stones just bounce off. It's called stone sponginess.
Stone sponginess.
No, I was going to say there's always one guy who takes these things too seriously. Like I was playing games.
And
with
now
my
I'm
son.
self-conscious that I'm that guy.
Yeah, no, you are.
You are.
What?
Don't even worry about it. You are.
Let's just remove all doubt. You are.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Like when I play games with my son, and and like
This is
he
the
seems that he's
comparison.
going to win, right? That's when I tell him go and do something else, and I just beat him because he can't move anymore. Yeah, it's fine. I can't lose to him.
So you beat him by him not playing?
Yeah.
He puts down the controller?
Yeah.
Are you not good enough to beat your 4-year-old son, like, legitimately?
Do you have children?
No.
Then
Then
So is your kid, like,
Then?
amazing at... What games do you play with him, even?
no, he doesn't play anything. But as soon as he starts beating me, that's it. He has to go and do homework or something because it can't happen.
I thought you just rope-a-dope him, you know what I mean? You just kind of, like, be a little, like, just be a bit rubbish at the beginning, make him feel good about himself, and then crush his feelings. Isn't that what you do?
Is that what you did?
Why don't you cut the middleman and just crush the
I
Phoenix?
felt pretty
instead?
good about myself for a while.
What,
at
Mario
Mario
Kart?
Kart, and then
I just want to make you feel a little good about the game.
hey,
See, I'm
I'll
better
never
than the
play it
other
again.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're that guy.
you're that guy.
So, can we go on to the game I thought you were talking about at the
Yeah.
beginning? Because I was clearly paying so much attention to what you were saying.
Yes, yes. Forza Horizon 4. So that's this big open world driving game set in the UK, right? Which is not full racy. It's not Gran Turismo where you need to.
It's not racy.
It's not a serious racing game for I was gonna say drive hits, like that's the thing. Let's just go with drive hits. I like drive hits. Yeah, like for drive hits, it's more arcade but not fully arcade. It's kind of if you got Gran Turismo and Mario Kart, you've got Forza Horizon kind of in the middle.
That's a humongous spectrum. Are you sure?
yeah. Why not?
It's
So
to-
yeah, it's
just-
to illustrate, right?
It's not in the middle. I think
It's much. I mean, it's much closer to
didn't you
the
say
Gran
more like-
Turismo end, right?
Okay,
like
it's-
maybe you should say like GTA and like not a real racing game, but
Okay, no, but this is a racing game. And the
Mario Kart.
The issue was no. See, the problem was I was trying to play it like Mario Kart. I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep on the way out, and I'm gonna drift really early and do a super long drift. But when purple sparks didn't come out from the back of the car, and after about 2 hours, I realized where are the turtle shells.
Yeah, there's no blue shell here.
Yeah,
dude. No
like,
blue shells to
what's
save
the
you.
deal? How am I gonna win there?
mm.
But then I started playing it like a actual racing game, like treating it like real cars, and it's pretty cool. It's a very interesting world to drive around. Yeah.
I mean, it's Britain.
Yeah.
Is Britain that interesting to drive around?
I've been
Okay
there
lah,
once.
at least it's real, right?
I'm Asian. What do you think, man?
But I played it for a bit, and I really like that style of game. I really like everything about it. I just don't like the framing of it. I don't like this whole the weird Euro trashy festival thing it has going on.
Yeah, so that's what the series has been criticized for since the start, right?
It's too aggressive, man.
The structure is this really douchey driving festival. It's called the Horizon Festival.
But isn't that how most of these games go? Like even like the Daytona stuff is very like, there's a festival, girls in bikinis, and isn't that the whole thing?
No, but you kind of get into the race straight away, whereas this one brings you in and you talk to the festival director.
You have to get into the race
No.
immediately for Daytona because you put coins in and people are waiting, right?
I think a better comparison is actually Burnout Paradise, because that's also a sort of open worldy game that's also got some vague framing to it, but it's not aggressive enough to intrude on the game. In Burnout Paradise, the actual racing always comes first. Everything you do is about racing. This is okay, you got your races, but in between it's go here and do this, and go here and do that, and then you go no, you don't have cutscenes per se, but you do have long stretches of people just talking to you about
Yeah,
stuff.
you do kind of have cutscenes. No, but that's maybe why, and I played Burnout Paradise recently, right? That's maybe why I was done with that in 10 hours, but I can see someone playing Forza Horizon 4 for, 50, 60 hours. That's part of the whole superstructure of the game. That gives it, I guess, a longevity. Whether that's artificial or not, that's a different discussion. But the festival does add breadth and structure to the world that kind of makes you keep going back. So pros and cons. It's a bit cringy, a bit trying to be down with the kids, right? You've seen it, but it's okay. I'm enjoying it.
And also, it's happened for so many games in the series, as you said. I played Forza Horizon 2 and it had it, but it was in Ibiza. So you're like, oh man, it's even more of this that I just don't want. So I was really hoping that by the time they got to 4, they would have eased back on it.
Yep.
But speaking of other things that are cringy, our big topic this week is video game movies. And we've all seen the Sonic trailer, right?
I haven't. I've purposely avoided.
But you've seen what he looks like.
You can't not have seen what it looks like.
He does not look like this at all. He does not look like classic Sonic.
Yeah, and they didn't even have the bass. They didn't even try to make the bass in the movie. What's the deal?
The base or the little stand holding him up. No, they didn't do any of that stuff.
No, disappointment.
He's furry. It's
But on the flip side, there's a movie that both of us have seen with a video game character that they turned furry, Pikachu.
no spoilers, please. I haven't watched it, and I heard that there's a big spoiler reveal at the end.
There are Pokemon in the movie, is that?
No, there's a big reveal. It makes you think about.
Pikachu, and he's a detective.
Apparently, there's a big reveal. Yes, you guys have seen.
I
it?
mean, yes, but it's also a kids' movie. If you don't figure out the reveal within 10 minutes.
No, I didn't. So speaking of kids' movie, so I haven't seen the twist at the end because I had to leave halfway through the movie because my son is 3.5 years old, right? And the movie is more meant for, I guess, kids
6
around
and a half?
7, 8 or so.
Sure.
38.
Who have more? Yeah. Yeah, I did want to say that. This podcast is not making Ravi look good today. But
What's wrong with liking Pokemon?
no, you just kind
Oh,
of slammed yourself, and earlier, you had the whole the realization that you're that dude.
Yeah, I'm still depressed about that.
Yeah,
That's
it's okay. It's okay. We can rub it in later on. But so it's kind of it might have been a bit too old for him. That reaches a point where several Pokemon escape from an enclosure and start to. It's kind of filmed a bit like a horror movie, is what you said yesterday. So my son kind of noped out of that.
Oh.
So we didn't see that. I checked it on Wikipedia. It's not a huge twist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's-
Because whoever was telling me was like, you gotta see it, you gotta see it.
I mean,
was
you
like,
have to see
"Really?"
it, but
No,
I
will
don't
see
watch it for the twist.
I will see it, but I will be disappointed if it isn't a big twist now.
What are you expecting to?
I know, like the Sixth
He said it
Sense.
was quite existential-ish.
Really?
All right.
I mean, I didn't see it. Was it?
Clearly, maybe you guys both missed it.
There's no way. I did not run out screaming from the movie. I did watch the whole thing.
We walked.
Yeah. But to me, the best thing about the movie is nothing to do with the plot or anything else. It's the fact that, like, being a fan of Pokemon for over 20 years now, you have a movie which has a real live-action movie which has Pokemon walking.
Are you okay with his texture?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Why are you okay with that? But you're not okay with like crocheted Sonic?
It's not Sonic's texture that's the problem. It's, well, A, he has teeth. Why does he have very human
That's true.
teeth?
That's true. He does have very human
He's
teeth.
very human teeth. He's got really thick legs. Like, it's just, he doesn't look like Sonic. He looks like someone in a costume trying to be Sonic, which we have CG now. We don't need to stuff people in costumes.
Yeah, I can see that. The Pokemon were furry, which was slightly disconcerting for about a minute or so, but they are quite true to the designs. So it's more a movie interpretation of what you know and love, whereas the Sonic was a bastardized version of something that you know and love. So I can see the difference.
And it does make sense. Like, you think about it, and you look at him and you're like, well, what texture should he be? I think I read an interview with the producers of the film, and they said that the Pokemon company told them that Pikachu's texture is actually supposed to be more like a horse's coat. And that seems really weird,
Or like
right?
short-haired.
Like really, really short hair. And they
I
literally
mean,
said like a horse.
like a plushie, right? Like a plush is kind of short-haired, like a horse.
I mean, a plush hair and a horse hair are two different things, though.
I mean, we're not expecting like a golden retriever, right? Basically.
And I'm now imagining Pikachu with a golden retriever, like
Right, like
coat.
a bit of a coat with a shine.
Well, like
different
with a Pikachu
layers.
that has let itself go, it's kind of like growing out.
My contribution is once I saw a horse show in Singapore and one of the horses shat on stage. It was great. Like, just casual. It was prancing about all majestic and elegant, and it just took it down.
Huh. Do they? Okay.
Is it
Well,
kind
I
of
have
like
a lot of questions.
It's,
but I don't know why.
like in Red Dead Redemption when you just
I was gonna say
Yeah.
when you're just pausing
Yep.
and then the guy goes.
yep.
Hmm.
It was kind of like that
And then you try not to step in it
in the game or in real life.
in the game. I mean, also in real life, let's be real. Like,
And it's not it's not an everyday occurrence for me. Oh look, a horse is done something.
it isn't Red Dead.
It is, yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I really liked Detective Pikachu. Not horses pooping.
Of course you did.
Yeah, and I really liked like a lot of the of course I really liked a lot of the elements and a lot of the ways they made that work. But one thing I thought was really interesting about it was it's based on a spin-off game. It's not based on the main Pokemon games, and that's good because if you think about it, some of the main Pokemon game elements kind of don't really work in live-action, real-worldy settings. Like, so I'm going to spoil the first 5 minutes of the movie for you. Sorry, Vic. Sorry, deal with it.
You're also gonna spoil whatever spin-off Pokemon game that I'm never gonna play.
That you're never going to play. Actually, I don't know if this is in the game, but in the movie, in the first 5 minutes, like the main character's friend is like, "Here, come, catch your first Pokemon. There he is walking around in a field. Throw this ball at his head and capture him." And you're like, that's kind of weird, man. Like that's.
Oh, and the Pokemon's just minding his own business. He's crying and stuff. Do they say why? Is it just?
Yeah. So that species, Cubone, their mothers die and they get really sad that their mothers have died, so they wear their mother's skulls. It's really messed up. And that's the Pokemon he's going to go capture while it's crying in a field. And it's like, go on, throw this ball at its head and capture it and enslave it and make it yours.
Oh, that's the best time probably.
Yeah.
It's vulnerable.
And I mean, Pokemon battles are a bit like dogfighty, right? It's a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except that they don't die; they faint.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, which kind of.
Animals fainting cute.
I mean, it's cute. Have you seen the goats that faint? It's a meme.
But do they faint after fighting, or do they just?
No, they faint when they're shocked. So you just go wah, and they just
Oh,
and
yeah,
they just
yeah,
they
I've
get
seen
rigid
that.
and they just
That's
pass
like-
out.
is
It's
that
a syndrome.
Is there a goat cafe that you can do that? I would.
They wake up like 2 seconds later, like completely unaware of what just
The
happened.
gift that keeps on giving.
I know. Anyway,
But I mean, this is probably the best video game movie that we've had, which isn't saying much
No,
because
it's really not.
all the others are terrible. What did you just watch?
So, I watched 2 movies as homework for this podcast, and I decided to pick. Actually, I didn't pick bad movies on purpose, but I think a lot of the movies out there are very bad. And so I picked 2 movies that both got, amazingly, one got 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the other one was 16%.
Okay.
Both better than the Street Fighter movie, which got 11%.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
a
should have
shame.
watched that. I would have watched that. I like
That's so
Street
bad
Fighter.
is good, which is more than you can say for.
I agree with that.
Yep.
So I watched Pixels, which is the Adam Sandler one from. Actually, you know what? It's so weird. When I was watching it, I was thinking, oh, how charming, how cute, how vintage. But it was made in 2015, so okay, not old at all. Very bad then.
I mean, Shea was probably still in university. Pretty vintage.
Actually, yeah.
I've never been to university. I thought you knew that. I thought we were friends.
I didn't listen to what game you were talking about at the start of this
Yeah.
podcast. I think we've established that
Just
bit already.
more and more layers with the Ravi onion, and it's just rotten inside.
Anyway,
This might be my
Pixels.
last podcast appearance.
Pixels is real bad.
He really hates
Well,
having
if
that
you
thing in his ear.
weren't here, I'd be trolling him, and then it's just too toxic. It's just 2 people like hating on each other.
So institutional bullying
Yeah,
is
yeah, this is better.
more acceptable.
This is better. I
Okay.
feel like we have a unified front.
Okay.
I like that.
Against me?
Yeah, sure. Well, somebody had to be the one. Anyway,
Actually, no.
okay. Have you guys watched Pixels?
No.
No.
Okay, so the premise, as you know, is aliens are invading the Earth, but they've chosen video games as the form that they would appear in. They've also picked a whole bunch of like old things. So they're on TV as Reagan, they're on TV as Madonna. Yeah, I was very impressed at first because I was like, whoa, for like a 90s film, they're doing the mouth movements so well. Then I went, oh wait, it's a recent, but never mind. Very, very crazy bad. So it's based on the premise that Adam Sandler, super loser, super genius at video games, but grew up to be like, I don't know, the cable guy or something like that. And then aliens are invading the Earth. And this like super hot woman that he met and tried to kiss and rejected him also happens to work at DARPA. And anyway, that's not even important. The point is, aliens come and he's the only person who can fix it because they come like, one of the battles, they come like Galaga. And he knows the pattern that they descend in.
Yeah, he must be the only person.
He's the only person.
who played
He's the
Galaga.
only person.
Yep.
And the
Good
other
thing I'm wearing my
person.
Galaga t-shirt to get today.
And the
That's
other
on brand.
person.
Good job.
The only other person that knows the Galaga pattern is, well, actually 2 other, but never mind. This other guy who's played by Josh Gad. He's basically the voice of the snowman in
Frozen.
Frozen. So every time he was shrieking, I was like, it's the snowman in Frozen. Anyway, the both of them, they do a thing where they like race on the streets against like a huge Pac-Man. Like, okay lah. Like the concept is cute, but the execution is horrible, absolutely horrible. Oh, and their best friend is like the fat guy from some sitcom. And the best friend, sorry, he's also president of the United States. Like,
Of course. Of course, his
Really?
best friend also happens to be the president of the
like,
United States.
really? Come on.
So does he get the super hot DAPA girl with his
He
video
gets
game
everything.
skill?
He
Of
like
course.
wins the world. He like
Yeah.
defends, everything.
That's not the toxic interpretation of. It's okay. Cool. Yeah.
And then
yeah.
there are like
Very healthy
amazing
messages.
lines about like, oh, and also it plays on very offensive tropes about how nerds are unkempt and don't brush their teeth and everything. The first time he meets her, he was like, "Oh, you're so hot. I wish I brushed my teeth this morning." Like, ugh, really? Yeah.
I watched a whole bunch of films, but I watched both the old Tomb Raider and the new Tomb Raider. The funny thing about the old Tomb Raider, which you obviously don't realize at the time, both Daniel Craig and Ian Glenn are in it. So 007 and Jorah Mormont are in the movie.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
it's weird because at the time, obviously, no one knows who the hell these guys are. But you watch it, and you're like, no way, no way. Ian Glenn also makes a good bad guy.
Oh my god,
because
what's
his voice
wrong
is
with
so.
me?
Oh yeah.
Ned
his voice is
Stark.
great.
Ned Stark is in Hitman, so I'll get to that.
Oh, of course.
Anyway.
Let me guess. Does he die?
No.
What?
I know.
Sean Bean's in a movie where he doesn't die?
Okay, I don't know this for sure because I lost the plot halfway through, and I didn't see him again. So maybe he did die. Wait.
It's Sean
have I
Bean.
got-
Chances are good
No,
that
I
he
watched
died.
these two movies back to back, so I got confused. I think he was in Pixels. My bad.
Still, he probably had to die, right? He's Sean Bean.
Yeah, I think he might have died. I think the Galaga thing ate him. Okay, never mind.
That must have been a terrible evening watching these movies back to back.
I know, but I wasn't really paying attention, which is also what I'll get to about Hitman. Anyway.
Unfortunately, I did pay attention to both Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. You kind of
That's
like Street
great.
Fighter because it's a bit campy, right?
Yeah, some of the lines just all-time classics. You can tell that the actor who plays Bison,
Raul Julia, this is his
that
last
was his
film.
last film
Yeah.
appearance, and you can tell he's enjoying himself, which is he has talent and he's enjoying himself, which is more than you can say about some of his fellow cast members who seem to be playing it totally straight and just failing. But
He has like one of my favorite lines, like not ever is a bit too strong. He has one of my favorite lines, the one where Chun-Li is in he's with Chun-Li and Chun-Li's telling him his life story about how you killed my father, that's how I decided
Wasn't
to
Chun-Li like Ming-Na Wen?
Yeah.
What a waste.
Yeah, really. But she's like, you killed my father, you came to my village, you killed my father, that's why I'm on this life to like kill you and all that stuff. And he goes, the day Bison came to your village was the greatest, most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday. it's such a good.
and it's great, the way he delivers it is just fantastic.
Better than I
is
did.
Great. Just slightly better.
It's sad because it was his last movie, and
It was.
apparently he was suffering from I think stomach cancer at the time. So in between takes, he just collapse and have to rest.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's really sad. But he was really good.
He's a stardom. Like he was hilarious in the Addams Family movies. But it's not a great movie, but it gets very near to It's So Bad It's Good, which is more than you can say for like Pixels, which I haven't seen, but it sounds.
No, it sounds. I wouldn't recommend it. I remember. I mean, Mortal Kombat. I've watched many times because for some reason it was a rerun on Singapore.
Was it on
Channel
HBO
5.
all the time? Okay.
Oh,
No, no,
Oh,
we're
it's
talking
on
about
Channel 5.
we're talking about free to air Singapore TV.
Free to air, the main English channel.
Yeah.
Was
was
they
free-
want
I-
to cut out the gory bits.
No, and it was very it's very plasticine looking.
Well, Goro was, yeah. But it's not terrible. It's not great. Let's
It's
be clear. It's really. It's very B movie-ish, right? Because
I mean, are there categories for B movie like D?
Street Fighter is very hard to like, but also because Street Fighter, like you said, it's such a bastardization of what Street Fighter is because they have to try and fit,
They had to make it a story, right?
which doesn't really have a
Yeah.
story, right? So it's like, okay, what do we do with E Honda? He's the TV cameraman for Chun-Li, the reporter.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. They
Yeah.
had to make everybody's lives kind of intertwined.
No, but if you had a really good scriptwriter, you could like the Lego movie.
Yeah.
Lego's not a thing. Like it's not. There's no
Right.
story to Lego, right? But they came up with something really nice. I feel like if they had done, if the Street Fighter movie was actually inspired by something, right? They could have done something with that. They didn't have to be tied down to these characters in this.
So I was just reading a piece in The Guardian about how the Street Fighter movie was made. One of the problems with it was nobody really had any fight training. And the reason nobody had any fight training was they spent so much money hiring Raul Julia and the guy we haven't talked about at all, Van Damme. They spent so much money on those guys. They were like, oh, we can't hire these actors for months in advance to give them fight training. Okay, I know. Let's film the talkie scenes first and the fighty scenes last. So while they're doing the talkie scenes in the background, they can go do their fight training. The problem with that was then they had to I can't remember what happened, whether it was a weather thing, whether it was Raul Julia wasn't well, or something happened where they had to switch him around. So basically they were doing the fight scenes completely unrehearsed and unchoreographed, which kind of explains why they're not so good.
Interesting. And for a fighting movie as well.
Exactly. For a movie about a fighting game, the fights are actually really underwhelming. And also, I think, we talk about the Lego movie. That's a really good example because the Lego movie doesn't shy away from the fact that it is like Lego. Whereas I feel like this is trying to shy away from everything Street Fighter-y. I mean, like the fireballs and stuff like that, they're not really fireballs. It's like you do this movement and there's a flash and someone jumps away.
Does Yoga Flame, what's his name? Dalsim. Does he get stretchy?
No. In fact,
What's the point?
So Dalsim, weirdly, for most of the movie, is a scientist with hair wearing a lab coat.
Then? What
Yeah,
happens?
but then for some reason at the end of the movie, because he's the guy who turns Blanca from
Green?
Charlie into green, like angry Blanca.
into
so-
the Hulk. Interesting.
Actually, into Mini Hulk, yeah. So he gets so sad that he has done this thing that suddenly he goes away, and then suddenly at the end of the movie he emerges in his Dalsim outfit.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and that's it. That's all you see of him.
And he doesn't do any like
he doesn't do anything. He's just like
mid-air
no.
hovering.
I think he's just like, I must like atone for my sins. I've shaved my head, painted myself. I'm wearing a neck of baby skulls. Because remember, that's his outfit. He's got baby skulls around his neck.
I know, but they were too small, so I didn't think they were baby skulls. I thought they were like baby
Monkey
animal
skulls or
skulls.
something?
Baby
that's-
animal
that's
skulls.
only
They
slightly
could have
less
been,
disturbing.
yeah, they could have been monkey skulls, but still, it's weird.
The movie ends with all the characters doing their game poses.
That is
right?
maybe the best part of the whole film. Yeah.
Oh.
It ends with like, is it like a freeze frame? They
Yes,
do
yes.
and it stops and it's like,
And
it's awful.
They should,
One
do
of- I'm
the,
not
they should
gonna
do the
lie.
wounded faces, you know, when they lose and they're like, and
you
then
must
the
defeat Shea
countdown.
Long to stand a chance.
The
Yeah.
countdown.
Yeah, no, I would rather see 15
Oh,
minutes
crap.
of a human trying to beat up a car. Like
Yeah,
that would have been a lot more
I
interesting.
love
Like imagine
that.
someone trying to punch a car. That'd be great.
I know, and then the car just kind of
Yeah.
explodes or collapses. I forget
I'm
what.
sure it
that-
doesn't explode if you try.
That bonus round, what happens to the car? It gets all
It just
dented.
collapses, and
and
then the guy comes and goes, "Oh no, my car!" and he starts crying.
then you get like money or something, right?
But the best thing is, like, you're in this fighting tournament against like big name fighters like Guile, Chun-Li, Balrog, all that stuff. But then you go beat up some random dude's car. Like,
Yeah,
who
so-
even is that dude whose car you're beating
It's very
up?
spiteful.
You're not killing like Bison's car. You're just.
I was just reminded by you saying Gal that the first like 15 years of my life I thought it was Ghoulie.
I mean,
That's how the boys I was growing up with. That's how the boys taught me.
Ghoulie, right?
Not ghoulie, but like gili, which was very weird.
how are you supposed to know back then? Right?
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you would know because it's also an English word,
It's not a common word. I don't use it in day-to-day
like
life.
beguiled. That's
yeah,
a normal
but
word.
you can.
Yeah.
It's also a Japanese game, so you can also see it not working that way.
The first time I realized that E and E Honda stood for an English name, my mind was blown.
Was
Isn't
it
it like
Edmund?
Edmund?
Edmund.
Is it
Edmund,
like Edmund?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's the first time I was like, oh, it's
So
not like
He's
Edo
not an
or
Edmund,
something.
let's be honest.
He's not an
He's
Edmund.
not an Edmund.
Well, no, his character in the movie is very much an Edmund.
That's not a compliment. It's really not.
Oh, so I have a question for you guys. What makes a good video game movie then? Can we make a good video game movie? Is it actually possible?
Is it only possible if the game itself is very realistic? Like, oh crap, we're gonna talk about it again. Red Dead Redemption 2.
We already did just
I
now.
tried not to, but yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, Red Dead.
Right?
We've
Red
talked-
Dead itself is a movie.
It's very cinematic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe as a series.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. I would love to see HBO do a 6-season run through of Red Dead Redemption 2 and 1, like just the storylines, and you could see how that could work. Because there are eras that these go through. You can see the cliffhangers where they end. And that would be cool. But going back to the topic of a video game movie, I think if you don't try to slavishly adhere to what the video game is about, that might work. Just take that as a base. When you're making a movie from a book, sometimes that works because you cut everything that doesn't make sense, you change things around. If somebody were brave enough to do that to some of the video games, it might work. I'd be interested in seeing what the Mario animated movie looks like in a few years, because Mario is famous, but it's not famous for the storyline. There's not a lot there.
I have watched Mario and Luigi like live action. This was like in the
That movie is
late
really bad.
80s?
No,
early
94.
90s? Okay. Oh, that was really
I've never
bad.
seen that.
That's really bad. But I love the. Oh wait, we're straying from video games though.
But go
I
for
loved
it.
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies as a kid. I thought it was so ridiculous. Like it's so cool.
I mean, the
Splinter.
the
and-
ninja rap.
Was there
You
a
don't
rap?
remember? You don't remember
don't
Vanilla
remember.
Ice doing the ninja rap?
I don't remember that.
We're gonna YouTube that later.
Okay. Yeah. No, but okay. I will say that the other movie that I watched that was 15% was Hitman, and that was released in 2007. So that was crazy, like crazy bad. But it was made up of basically a whole chain of cutscenes, and then they made that a movie. That was pretty much the whole thing. Yeah, it was nuts.
Just
Like
almost.
very incoherent because there was usually in a video game there's actual action and gameplay to take you between cutscenes, but this was just like stuck together, like cutscenes just stuck together. Like what? Who are you? Oh, you gonna seduce me? Oh, cut. And then I'm running away from the bad guy. Diving into the pool. I'm tied up. What's going on?
This sounds like the censored HBO Asia version. Are you gonna seduce me? Cut the whole seduction and sex bit, and then go straight to
Running
like.
away- running from the guy. Oh, too much violence. Cut. Oh, I'm tied up now.
I don't know. Like I don't know about the whole don't stick slavishly thing, because I think one of the lessons people pointed out about Detective Pikachu was they don't really do a lot to explain anything about Pokemon. They're just kind of like, you know this, we're just getting right into it. And I wonder if that's part of the problem, is in video game movies they spend too long kind of getting down to the rules of like, okay, this world is like this thing's like this, you know, and trying to make it grounded for people, whether you just dive straight into what this, like, you know what this is, you know what the style is, just go nuts.
Maybe Detective Pikachu worked because, you know, what they took from the games was the setting, and everything else that happened was just its own, right? And so maybe that's what you need to do. Just take the video game as slight inspiration. Maybe these are the characters, but whatever you do with them is up to you. So I really want to see what they do with Mario, because that's a legit, you know, Hollywood. Okay, I don't know about Hollywood, but that's a proper movie studio that's doing it, proper animation studio. So it's not going to be half-assed, I presume. The money is going to be put into that. It could make a lot of money as well if it's done right. So what kind of story are they going to be around Mario and Luigi?
That's the problem.
But
right?
there are some physics problems, right, with Mario, which is the other thing, which is you need to pop into a sewer pipe and then pop out the other end. There's just these are problems.
I mean, Shinzo Abe did it at the Olympics. Like, so I think it's doable, right?
And it's never been seen again.
But yeah, I wonder if that's the thing. But one thing actually, just for a slight aside before we end, that I wouldn't mind seeing is just more video game elements in other movies, because one of my favorite films is Scott Pilgrim. And I love the way it just weaves in all of those references, and it's just, even though it's not a video game movie,
Yeah.
it really feels like one. He's
But
got
it is a
7 bosses.
peripheral video game movie, right? Because it's a nerd movie, and so.
He's got 7 bosses to fight.
Okay.
He's got, like, you know, he's got 7 bosses to
Like
fight. He's
these
got like
tropes
all
are
the
expected.
tropes are in it. You got all like the effects, sound effects, the you know, even the little like the life bar when he pees, like stuff like that's there, right? But yeah, I mean, are we hoping for the Sonic movie?
I don't like Sonic to begin with. I don't think the games are good. So.
I mean, fair enough. You, not to make fun of your age again, but you did grow up like post early Sonic, right?
No, I actually did play Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles and the combined version on the Mega Drive back in the day. I didn't get them then. I bought Sonic Mania a couple years ago. I didn't get it now. I don't get it now, so it's just not my jam. So please fail.
You gonna watch it?
I'll watch it the way that I'll watch Detective Pikachu.
Will you watch Detective Pikachu though?
Yeah, I definitely will. Yeah, I definitely will. But now I'm less hopeful for that twist.
Yeah. So beware, it's not a Sixth Sense twist. It's a fun one though. But I think that's it for us.
Yep.
Thanks, Vic. Thanks, Shea.
Thank you.
I'm Ravi. See you guys next time on the next You Die.